We know that we submitted like 5 offers, and this is finally the one that we got accepted, 6th offer. And they love the house. They said, oh my God, Angelica, this is perfect. I can see my son is gonna have this room, my daughter's gonna have this room, this is a perfect yard. We love this house, we want this house, do anything in the world for us to get this house. So I'm working so hard on the phone every 5 minutes with this listing agent, submitting an offer, working on it, creating some other, creative ideas how we can get it, adding all the terms, fighting so much with other 20 offers to get that house, and we finally under contract. And there is some small issues, and someone wants to okay, we're gonna cancel it because we cannot resolve the small issues. I'm like, no, it's gonna take 5 minutes of your time to resolve it, and I know we can resolve it because these people love this home.
When you don't know what you want to do, either sell or rent it out, it can create a whole uncertainty and mess, even with you making decision as a seller. So we got the offer, and yesterday he called me at 9 p.m. Okay, we work 24/7. 9 p.m. Saying, hey, let's cancel. I found rental. I want to help these people. Blah 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 blah.
Wow.
So I'm like,
but did you accept that offer? Or you didn't accept it?
We did accept offer, and yesterday was inspection.
Hi everyone, we're back with some real estate episodes. This is Julia Kiba.
Hi guys.
Angelica Pashko. We are realtors at Coma Real Estate here in Chicago and suburbs, and today we want to talk about something different. Not the successful stories, how you hear very often on social media and YouTube, but actually there's, the other side of real estate, because very often things don't go that well. It's not all flowers how you see on social media, and there's so much behind the scene that you don't see, and we would like to share those challenges that we are going through very often in this business.
Yeah, so much involved in real estate, and we just want to be honest with you and show you everything. And I think it's important to remember about this part of real estate, because if you think about all flowers and butterflies, whatever is on TV, selling sunset, it's actually in the 99% not always the case. You know what I mean?
I feel like in this office, I'm the transaction savior.
Right.
There's probably 8 out of 10 transactions need to be saved before it closes. And
I'm sorry that people doesn't see it.
Yeah.
Nobody sees it because it's not common to share like those, I don't want to call it toxic or drama things, but it's just when the money involved in a transaction, you're purchasing something big, emotions on the table, decision on the table, like so much things. So I think it's important to stay professional, because sometimes seller or buyer can tell you something that will play in their best interest, and you have to stay calm and professional. Even like if your seller offered 0% for buyer co-op, like you have to stay professional, right? Because this is
the biggest investment. This is, the biggest amount of money that people will spend on something in their life. So of course they're going through so many emotions, and you there as a therapist, not only a realtor, to basically not only calm them down, but provide them with as much education as you can to explain everything. And of course for them, in the end of the day, make that decision. But you're there to support and explain, and then they're the ones who's gonna make that final decision. Very often I just think that people don't realize how much work is behind the scene, what we do for that transaction to be successful and close, because you only see very often on that same Instagram, under contract and then sold, but they're in between. There's just roller coaster of emotions and things that are happening. And so it is so important to stay on that side of professionalism and calmness, because those people, that's your future business and checks. Because if you do a good job and you provide the education and let them make a decision, in the end of the day, they will refer you to, your next clients. And
you're
that's
just a guide.
But you're right. We need to have that face of like, okay, whatever happens, it is what it is. And like with my recent listing, same here. I do understand we're overpriced. I do understand there are some other things that will be really, a little complicated things. It's not going to be that easy of a transaction. But I already invested all this time and energy and money into, pictures, drone shots, videos, and all of that. But I am taking the risk with the hope that in the end we will close on that. But I don't know for sure. So we are investing a lot of this time and money, not knowing if it will bring results in the end.
Yeah.
And it's a constant hassle in that regard.
Yeah. But also, we're doing a lot in real estate, and I only had once when clients said, "Can you share your commission with me, like half and half?"
You had that,
and
I heard that.
It's like, also back in my mind, I understand that. Again, I have to stay professional, and it's not always about money. But when you have this question, you like, oh my God, people really don't see.
Behind the scene,
they don't. Yeah,
they don't realize
risks.
That's why what changed after a few years in real estate for me. I do love to have that initial consultation, because then I'm very straightforward with, okay, this is what's going to happen. And unless this is a person that knows me or was some referral from a close of my friends or family or office, if it's not that, it's someone just new from the street who came, just called me, or someone from a social media, I will make sure that we're sitting down and I'm explaining the process. And after that consultation, they act differently. They're like, oh my God, there's so much actually that you do behind the scene. Because I'm not going to call them every time to say, oh, hey, now I need to talk to attorney, I need to talk to the appraisal, to the lender, do this and that. There's so many, messages, phone calls and emails on a daily basis that I'm doing for you that you don't see and then don't know about. So it's kind of nice for them to have like a clear expectation that you are getting paid for this amount of work, not just to open the door, how some people say, and show me the property.
Right. I feel like when you're in transaction, I think you will remember a lot of things when you do behind the scenes to save the deal because your client wants. Like I just had that last year, I remember that we find out that HOA has a special assessment coming. So my client didn't want to pay, seller wanted to sell, and we figured out the seller dropped the price. But what if the seller will not drop the price? Then they will just cancel the deal, and buyer who already told me that they are about to move out from their rental place.
Exactly, at least
it's so much risk. And sometimes people calling and saying, if let's say the closing postponed it for some reason, it can happen because of your bank if you're a buyer, because of the seller because something happened or whatever, and they telling me we will be homeless tomorrow. Like, oh my God.
It is a lot of stress. And I have a lot of those as well, especially first-time home buyers. They are moving from their rentals. And very often that rental already has a new lease signed with the new tenants. They're moving from somewhere as well. Yeah. And it's so like, minute to minute, hour to hour. Then, if something goes south and you are on the street and you have all this huge truck with your furniture. So what do you do? But then, we come in place when we're trying to solve the problems. And I had a lot of those. Then, there's also another point. Then if you move the closing, there is the rate lock that might expire. So now you're getting higher rate, which no one wants that. So how do you, definitely a lot of issues that we are solving on a daily basis.
But why do you think nobody really talks about it? Because what I see being a real estate agent on those TV shows, Instagram, everything butterfly, selling sunset. But I think nobody talks about challenges in the transaction because they afraid to scare buyers and sellers. Like why nobody talks about so many things can go wrong?
You know how I feel? I think it's mostly actually on us, on agents, a lot of times, because we want to look these, successful, we made it, agents. And for some reason we never had, when we look all this no problem successful people, buyers or sellers will trust us more. And I don't know why is that, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Like, if I'm showing this perfect life, then people think that, I got this. And if I'm going to go with this agent, there's going to be no issues because the person never showing issues. So maybe if you complain that, hey, there's so many things that might go wrong, people think, maybe just because this agent. Yeah, because this agent is sharing the bad side. So maybe she's the only one who has that bad side. Other ones are not sharing. So maybe they have everything, in place, which is not true. I don't think there's not even one agent on the planet that
because
would not have.
Because it's not up to agent want to close and get the check and,
Yeah.
It's about a lot of puzzles and circumstances, because when you see the real estate transaction, it's not only because of you. Something will happen. So many people
involved,
and their decisions can be nobody knows why.
I do feel like 9 out of 10 times, and I have nothing against real estate attorneys, but I'm gonna say this: I feel like very often attorneys are almost killing those deals.
But you know why? They don't have a huge reward. They charge 500-600 per transaction. This is joke, to be honest. I think they are
underpaid.
Well,
I agree.
Attorney.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that they're crucial in a transaction. So the fact that the fees are so small, I do feel that it should be higher. But also, there's another thing. They are representing these, as a client, their buyer, seller as a client. So for them, they don't care as much about transaction. They care about only like this person's interest, which is, again, most of the time, it's not even like a serious issue. So when I'm coming in, I'm like, okay, this is not something huge. We can easily resolve this. Like, let me negotiate with the listing agent if I'm working with a buyer, and I'm sure we can get this solved. This is a matter of like $500. So why are you telling me that we gotta cancel this?
Yeah.
But still, very often they are not looking for resolutions. For them, it's like, okay, there's a problem.
Yeah, they see more a legal point of view, and they want to show the client that they hear the law or whatever. We have to follow this. We more flexible.
Problem resolvers.
We want to be creative.
Yeah.
And at the end, we will have a good relationship with the buyer or seller if we close, if that's what the seller or buyer wants.
Because there's another thing. We see those people, right? We spend some time with them on the consultation, on showing. So we see the feeling. We know that we submitted like 5 offers, and this is finally the one that we got accepted, 6th offer. And they love the house, because when we were with them in that house, they loved it. They said, oh my God, Angelica, this is perfect. I can see my son is going to have this room. My daughter's going to have this room. This is a perfect yard. We love this house. We want this house. Do anything in the world for us to get this house. So I'm working so hard on a phone every 5 minutes with this listing agent, submitting an offer, working on it, creating some other, creative ideas how we can get it, adding all the terms, fighting so much with other 20 offers to get that house. And we finally under contract, and there is some small issues, and someone wants to like, oh, okay, we're going to cancel it because we cannot resolve the small issues. I'm like, no, it's going to take 5 minutes of your time or my time to resolve it. And I know we can resolve it because these people love this home. Why are we almost, destroying it? So depends on the situation, like you said. Of course, sometimes there's something, it just needs to get terminated because there's some issues,
and you always listen to your client. If they want telling you I want it, whatever the case is, good or bad. Sometimes, like, I had people who went to the house to the inspection. We were purchasing as is, but then we find out that roof is almost like it probably it already was leaking,
Okay.
So they need to change it. So my clients asked them some money for it or whatever. I remember that was something, and the seller said okay. And then the seller changed their mind. So now the buyer's saying, okay, just sell it. Because seller told, I don't want to pay anything for the roof, cancel the deal. Even though he agreed already.
So do you think it was some involvement or somebody else, like maybe listing agent or attorney?
It's, you know what? It's been a month and it's still pending under my name. The listing agent didn't change. Like, it wasn't, the day I had this in my mind, and even attorney told me, Julie, I think something bigger involved in this. Somebody offered them more. But also knowing that there's an issue with the roof, how you know that other buyer will close?
Yeah.
Because this already telling you begging.
It's going to come up again.
Begging, I'll buy it with the bad roof. And he's saying no. So I'm not sure what happened really there. I think we went too far because we requested insurance policies, money, and stuff like that. So And you see, my clients were already buyers saying it's okay, we will buy with bad roof. So it's all, some people will say, you know, I'm out. You don't want to give me anything. You live there for 20 years, roof is bad. Give me some credits. But also now, knowing that this NAR settlement going, I don't know how it will play. Nobody knows at this point. But knowing that you getting paid for all of this, and now nothing is guaranteed, and it's really hard for the buyer to be responsible for everything, for closing cost, down payment. If you have less than 20%, you have to pay PMI, like many fees involved. And now real estate agent, again, if you, let's say yesterday I ordered HVAC person who came
HVAC,
to the HVAC,
the conditioner.
Conditioning, and so I hired him. I paid him fee. You know, people paying for somebody else work.
Of course.
Why?
Of course.
The real estate salary, it's such a huge point to talk about. You know what I mean?
You're right. And that's what I see with a lot of my first time home buyers. There's, you know, so many fees involved with the closing, with the down payment. They can, you know, very often they're in a situation when they need to do some gift funds from a family or friends to close on that property in the end. So now adding 2.5%, it is stressful, which is at the same time, I know, you know, some overseas, some European countries, that's how they've been doing forever. In terms of, you know, every buyer is paying their agent, sellers paying their agent. So I kind of see both points, but I get it kind of why it's happening, but just the way that it's done, so kind of like unknown of what's gonna happen, you know. So they decided, okay, it's not gonna be part of MLS, great, but then what? Like the buyer's agents still need to get paid, because very often I do both on the list side and the buy side.
I can say dual agency
sometimes working with a buyer involves more time, energy, and stress and money than even working with the seller, because someone can find a house in a month, but someone it's going to take over a year. I had those as well. So you keep driving, you're investing so much time into that, but then you're not getting paid in the end. So we'll see how it's going to play, but I see it probably at this moment a little bit more of negative side of positive side. So the newest listing I have in Chicago, the seller specifically wanted 0 co-op commission on MLS. So, and you know, we talked, I explained her both sides, you know, how it's going to play, if you add it or you're not add it. And again, when we're listing, we are looking at the comps, you know, what was sold in that building. I'm like, so look, you want to sell for top dollar, and all those in that price range were sold with co-op commission 2.5. So, you know, I don't think it's fair. You cannot sell for the top dollar now and then not pay that co-op commission. So it's kind of...
But you see, the seller always had a choice to
That's
pay,
true.
because there were flat fee companies for sale by owner. You can go and pay 0 to both sides because nobody represents
But I
you.
never had a problem with...
You see, like, people
Exactly.
chose because... If you have full-time work yourself, you're the seller, or you're the buyer, both sides, they will not go and study 70-hour real estate course to know every single point and not make a mistake, because if you're purchasing once in 10 years, like,
You're not saving in the end of the day.
I mean, yeah.
And I never had a problem with for sale by owner paying.
I never
buyer's
had the
co-op
problem.
commission.
I had people when I remember I called like sellers because I was looking to help the seller to list with me and help to sell them. Some people saying, no, I don't work with agents. But if you're saying that you have a buyer and you actually saying a truth, because so many people
you do have a buyer for that property. Yeah.
I never had problem that
For them to pay.
Seller covered the commission.
Same. So now basically what's happening with that listing, only the phone calls I'm receiving is like, oh, hey, are you covering the commission? Because it says 0 on MLS. And I'm like,
wow,
this is what seller specifically wanted. But again, she did mention that depends on the offer we're going to receive, she will consider to pay that commission. But for you as a buyer's agent, what does it mean? She will consider to pay or not to pay. I'm already submitting an offer, and my buyers like the property, want the property. It's a mess. So
I think it's just a tough conversation because somebody giving you like, oh, maybe yes, maybe not. So by submitting an offer, you have to talk to the buyer and say, hey, my commission is not covered if you want this property. Like,
by the way, extra 2.5%.
You know what I mean? Or two, like it's all negotiable because I want you by the end of the day to purchase it. Do you want this condo? Do you like it? Yes. Do you want me to try the seller to cover my commission? Yeah. So I usually charge 2.5, 2, depends, on the situation. It just will create this uncomfortable conversations. But again, listing agent always had this uncomfortable conversation because the seller has to pick between 10 agents. Somebody offers 6%, so they will split however they want because it was not even up to me as a buyer agent. I never, like, it 2.5.
What are you getting paid?
1.5.
Yeah, whatever was there, that's what you're getting. Yeah. So again, we'll see. We have interest, but almost every single time it's the same topic on that split, and I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm really, it's really interesting. But at this point, I see it as a very negative point on the specific listing because we are having a hard time. I see that those buyers coming in, calculating everything, I don't feel like they have, ability to pay another.
And they want representation, but they just like, okay, I don't want to pay PMI. I want 20% down. But if they have to give the agent, they will not have 20% down plus closing costs. It's just like, you know.
So on those behind the scene, let's maybe remember some of the like horror stories that we had. I mean, I have a few, especially at the beginning of my career, and now I can laugh about it. But at that point, I'm like, oh my God, if this is what's gonna happening, I don't know if I can do this much longer.
Remember,
but yeah, let's maybe I can start, and you can maybe remember some of yours. So there's some issues that really you don't control, and some of them just silly. Some of them are really problematic. So for example, one that I could not control much, it was when we went to the final walkthrough. So we've been looking with this couple for a property for like, I think it was a year at that time. And we finally found something they liked. We signed a contract. We went through inspection, appraisal, everything went great. And so final walkthrough, we're coming in. This is a house, Chicago suburbs. And basically end of the yard of this house, there is just kind of like a park, forest, whatever, a bunch of trees, no real estate, no nothing, no properties. And so when we coming to and they loved it. They're like, oh my God, the end of this yard is like beautiful park. So, there's not going to be nothing there in the future to bother us. Or whatever, beautiful view. And so we're coming to the final walkthrough, and there's no park. There's just construction field. There's not even one tree left, Julia. Not even one tree. It's just like bunch of machinery, and they're doing some construction. They're like I think they were planning to build something there, and we're like, oh my God, what is this? And then changes the whole feel about that place, so they were planning to retire in that place, and now they will be, instead of looking at the park, they'll be looking at this construction field and how many years gonna take. And of course, we're going back of like, we're gonna check with the city, what they're building there, is this was planned, how we didn't know about it, because this is end of the yard of this property, so really sellers didn't have any knowledge about this, like how did this happen? I mean, I'm glad that this happened at that moment, not after we closed, because that would be just a bad situation. And there's a way for us to know that would happen. And so, but
did
doesn't
they
matter.
back out?
Of course. So basically, and I'm like, so I'm finding out all this information, okay? So like city doesn't have much knowledge about it, but it is like they're building some probably a community with an apartment building or something like that. Then no one's is even sure. But then we found out another information that they wanted to do that before a few years ago, but then all the owners of the houses kind of voted that they don't want any construction field in that place. because they had to get a permission from whoever's around them. So they voted no, so they didn't do anything. And now somehow magically it happens. I'm like, okay, so sellers did know about it, they did not disclose to us. But it doesn't matter. Like, I'm finding out all this information, trying to explain to my buyers, but for them, emotionally, they're not there anymore. They're like, Angelica, we don't want to retire with a like construction field view. Like, this is not something we sign up for. And so what do? But then we're like, all in at the very end, and there's really nothing we can do. And this is probably I would say one of the worst situation, because at that point we also have earnest money on the table, and this is not anymore the property, the boundaries ends before that park. So this is not on this house's property. It's kind of like, the other land they don't control. So they're like, well, we wasted a month or more with you guys, so we're not just returning your earnest money. And we're like, okay, but this is completely different view that we signed for, and we're getting our earnest money back, and keep looking. And so it was a mess. It was a long
they returned their earnest
time.
money?
They split it half and half. This was probably the only time in the market year that they did not get their earnest money back fully. They did agree to split half and half. In the end of the day, we did find a beautiful house for that couple. It was another year, I think, so altogether 2 years. So let's talk about behind the scene. It was a different property.
But they're happy at the end of the day.
But they're happy in the end of the day. It's a beautiful house, even better house, better location, everything, and they love it, and everything. But we went through some, roller coaster with them for 2 years. But yeah, it was something that, again, I invested so much time and energy into. And it, brought us nowhere at that point. And I was not able to change anything. So it's not up to you. So, we can save a lot of transaction, but sometimes it's just not up to us.
It's like, I'll tell you this about emotionally making decisions, because I have this listing now, and client, he was investor. So here, when you don't know what you want to do, either sell or rent it out, it can create a whole uncertainty and mess, even with you making decision as a seller. So we got the offer, and yesterday he called me at 9 p.m. Okay, we work 24/7. 9 p.m. Saying, hey, let's cancel. I found rental. I want to help these people, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like,
but did you accept that offer, or you didn't accept it?
We did accept offer, and yesterday was inspection. So like, buyers already start investing their money into inspection, committing, declining the lease agreement, whatever. So, and then I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I give you in the morning to time, to sleep on it. And then he called me at 7 a.m. saying that it's urgent, to say that he decided to sell it, actually.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I'm happy that I didn't text the listing agent, that I gave it some time, because overnight nothing can happen already.
That's true.
The buyer's agent went to sleep, whatever, say goodnight to her kids. But imagine if I tell her, hey, my client is canceling.
For sure.
This whole night will be like, it just creates so much things that I cannot control. I just gave him some time, and here you go, he changed his mind. But while he's doing those roller coasters, for me it's important to find out why he making those decisions. What is that making him doing this stuff and being uncertain with his own decisions? So it's funny.
That's so true. And I changed that, because before, when the problem, if the problem would arise, I would be okay, like, I need to solve it now, like, that's it, this is urgent. I'm leaving everything, my husband, my kids, I'm closing myself in the closet. I'm like, I'm solving this problem happened now. And I realized that yes, there's some urgent problems
sometimes,
but most of them are not urgent. They might be urgent for that person at that moment because it's emotional, but overall it's not urgent, and nothing's gonna happen until next morning if this happened at night. And I see very often that if you give some time for that issue, it's gonna resolve itself, which is like just magical for me. It's such a huge insight, and I see that more and more. If I'm allowing some time, the issue is resolving itself, because we as a human beings, we kind of act on emotions.
Right.
We all are emotional human beings. And, you know, when something needs to happen right now, it's not always like rational decisions. You're just going by emotions. And again, and when emotions are passed, you know, you're turning off your heart a little bit, turning on your head. Then you're like, okay, I have a good offer. It's a great money. I don't want to really deal with these rentals anymore. There is a reason at the first place I decided to sell.
Right.
But, you know, I just heard the story of this family that came looking for something and I cannot find something. I'm going to help them.
Works.
Love letters. I mean, I'm rescuing. I'm going to help them. That's it. I need to help these people now. But then you're like, no, wait a second. Let's turn off the heart a little bit because this is investment. This is about like business, my money. And it does make sense more financially to sell it now. This is a great time to sell. Julia, let's sell.
Yeah.
And all what you did, you allowed some time for that issue to resolve itself. And it works. Magic, but it works.
You see, I had the seller saying, so what happened with these people? I promised this much and blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I'm the person, real estate agent, who delivers bad news or good news. So today, 2 parties. One will receive a good news and another will receive bad news. This is life. Welcome to the motherverse.
The other side of real estate.
Yeah, but you see,
But
this is actually, you deliver bad or good news. Someone today will receive on this transaction good or bad news. Either it's a tenant or the buyer. Yeah. So I will be a bad person. That's why you hired me and you pay me money. But it's at the end of the day, you have to make the best decision for yourself. If your people didn't like the view, they were risking the earnest money, but they know they don't like take my 5,000.
That's what I told them.
There.
Okay, are you willing to lose the 5,000 and just walk away, or you know, just move in and live there? And I saw in their answer, I'm like, yes, you might lose that earnest money. But overall, on the long term, you're going to lose so much more because you're going to be waking up with this view every morning. You're going to have dust on your windows for next at least 2 years. Is this what you want to do? And again, like at that point, it was heartbreaking because it's a lot of money. And especially when you are buying, you know, first-time home buyers, it's a lot of money that you're investing and every dollar counts. So of course it's tough, and I'm glad we were able to resolve it at least this way. But by the end of the day, when they're buying that second property, I'm sure they were happy with their decision and they didn't look back of like, oh my God, we wish we would not, you know, lose that 2,000 and actually get that house. I'm sure they were happy. So at the end of the day, yeah, you need to look, you know, long term, not just what happened today. Definitely. And another thing, I just see we all see all these successful stories on social media, and we see a lot of under contracts. So tell us, Julia, every year under contract, it's actually closing in the end of the day? Or not every?
Not every. You see, like if the seller would change their mind to actually rent it, I will have to cancel the deal.
Yeah.
I would have to cancel the deal. Because he had told me, even though we went yesterday at night about all, you know, bad and good sides about canceling this actually. And then in the morning he changed his mind. So much uncertainty. And again, when you're going on the contract, after that, everything begins. Inspection, appraisal, more hard stuff, which your brain as a buyer wasn't ready.
Yeah.
You saw
You're just coming to look at the pretty house.
Won. Boom, everything is good. But then inspector goes on attic, finding mold, beautiful black mold, you know,
flowers,
or something like that. Or it will be really beautiful, everything, no issues, but always some details, which for some buyers are like, oh my God, safety issue, I'm running away. Like,
nothing. I didn't think there is even such a thing as perfect house, because even new constructions have issues. But here you're just deciding what is deal breaking for you. You know, for someone, such a thing as wall on attic is a deal breaker. For someone, okay, this is a matter of.
I had clients who said it's okay, we will fix it. It's fixable.
For someone, you know, it's a spray that you buy from Home Depot and you kind of make it disappear, and then you can finish it on top. So again, my dad is in construction for over 20 years. And what he's saying always to me, there's no issues that cannot be resolved in construction. Like if house is almost like, I don't know, falling apart, you still can fix it. This is a matter of, again, it's always money, how much it's gonna cost to fix that problem, and if you're willing to put your time and energy and money into that. So if you love the house, the layout, especially the location, because one thing you can never change is location. Anything else is fixable. Then maybe it's worth, risking it.
But you see your people. This is an example.
But some people, like you said, window is not closing properly. Like, oh, no, we need to replace windows. Like, no, you're just going to need to push a little bit harder, you know? Because, again, nothing is perfect. And there are some, they're like, oh, no, it's bad framing. It's going to all gonna fall apart in a year. I'm like, houses don't fall apart just like because windows doesn't close properly in a year. But again, different people, and you need to understand how to work with them. If it's for them such a huge deal, you don't want to ever push too hard. No. You get a feeling what's important for them, and you work kind of around that.
Explain the options, and you choose. You always have the options. Even when you put in an offer, you have option to waive everything, or you can stick with whatever you feel comfortable. Some people, like I had people, they just moved to United States 2 months ago. They lived in a hotel. While they live in a hotel, we're looking for properties. So they waived everything because they put one offer, didn't go through because they wanted to negotiate. Doesn't work on some top rated school districts. You have to give something up if you're willing to. If not, maybe it's not a good time for you to buy. Boom.
Yeah, we're there to educate, definitely, but we're never there to for you to make a decision for you. You're the one who's making a decision.
We advise, you choose.
Yeah.
Your money, your life.
100%. Again, there's some stories.
We'll do part 2.
We'll do part 2. Can you remember any other transactions that were, very painful for you? Didn't happen in the end, or maybe you were looking for some house with them and people changed their mind, they decided to rent after 2 years. There's some of those.
I had like people who getting pre-approval for this lower down payment, like 3%, but then the monthly payments is way higher than they expected because Zillow show you calculation on 20%.
People believe that still.
And then they see in reality, and for some people, like they didn't expect for condo to be $2,500 per month for just 2-bedroom condo because they have low down payment. So I had
plus HA plus tax.
Yeah. For some people, they're really tight in budget. Even they got pre-approval, bank giving you money. But then after seeing this multiple offers, losing couple places, they just decided, not a good time for me to buy. I have too low savings to even offer more to get this place. So I had a situation like that. But also...
So they decided not to buy in the end?
Yeah, they didn't we saw maybe 5-10 homes, I would say. So we drove a couple weeks.
I always say that it's really not on a number and pre-approval. It's on your monthly payment. If you're comfortable with monthly payment, then you should go for it. If not, this number doesn't really adjust how much you make it, what you're comfortable with. Because maybe you do want to, invest more money into putting your kids, I don't know, to some private better school as expensive monthly payments on your property. So that really on that payment. This is not that number because you always need to calculate also for HOA and taxes and everything else. And depends again if it's better school districts, it's going to be always higher taxes. So you're saying 5 houses you saw?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm okay because I still have people who got pre-approval. We saw 1 or 2 properties and they went under contract because they motivated, they know what they're looking for. People who doesn't know what they're looking for, again, like with the seller, he didn't know what he wanted to do, sell or rent. So then you have this hard to make a decision process. Everything is like, I don't know if I'm making good decision. Like buying a home, monthly payment, you have to look at everything. You have to pick areas where you will feel comfortable because in some areas will be cheaper property, but it doesn't work for you. You know that it will be hard for you to get to work. You will not see your friends because you can't just, buy somewhere because it's cheaper monthly payment. If you looking in a different area for yourself or whatever it is. So yeah, if people are uncertain about their criterias, it will create this at the end of the day, let me rent.
I had some of those that, even I had some client, I mean, this was his second property, but he just called me like, hey, Angelica, I went to an open house on this and this street. Let's put an offer on. I'm like, oh, okay. So you were like, oh, yeah, I went to open house. I like it. Everything works good. Let's just put this offer, this much money, these are terms. I'm like, okay, I did educate you well on the first transaction. And so we put it on a contract and we closed on it. I mean, I was there at the inspection, but I didn't even see it initially because it was open house. But some of them, I also had a situation. I just gave birth to my first son. And so I had this family where we were looking for a house, and we would go out to see houses almost every weekend. And this wasn't something that I'm like, I like this and this house, let's go look at that. It was, okay, you choose the houses for us and we'll go look at them. So I'd be, I would handpick every house. I would schedule, up to 10 houses probably a weekend. I don't remember, it was some time ago. And we would go look at those houses. So we've been looking for, I think, over 6 months. And so I'm leaving my newborn at home. This is weekend. I'm driving to these showings. I'm pumping in the car, 70 on the highway, all excited. This is a good price range. It was around like 500,000 price range. And so we're looking. We found one house, put it under contract, did inspection. They didn't like the inspection, so we canceled it. We kept looking, and then we found another one they loved. So we're standing in that house, and I remember how, the wife tells me, oh my God, this is such a beautiful room. Looks like a castle. It's going to be for my daughter. This room is going to be for my son. That's it. We love it. Let's put an offer on it. And so I'm like, okay, great. Let's do it. And they disappeared. And I'm like, okay, so we're putting an offer on it. You love the house. What's going on? This and that. But again, I'm not pushing that much, but I'm still following up. Like, what's up?
Did they buy with another agent?
They closed on that house with another agent.
Why I know that? Because we've been there.
And I'm thinking like, what did I do wrong? And there was the whole situation how this family was looking for a house, but in reality it's.
But you see, like, I remember before I became an agent, when we were looking for our rental, like we wanted to rent the place with my husband, we reach out to agent who were helping us with rental. I did not know how they're getting paid. Now I know it's too low for rental, but anyway, so we drove with her. She found us a place, beautiful. Our application is about to be accepted. And here I am going on Facebook, and I found for rent by owner. So we went there and we liked it even more than the other one. So we're sitting in the car with my husband, and we're thinking like how to give her maybe a gift, because she drove too much, or maybe a gift card, something like to say thank you. And back then, that was just the way I was raised. But here in real estate, I see a lot of people, it's easy for you to ghost. I spent so much time for you. You even didn't tell me a feedback. Why?
Nothing.
Nothing. Because some other agent, like your best friend introduced you to the agent, and you gave me up, and we already had really nice showing times,
That's what I thought, because even, everything was perfect. I did work so hard on it. I did pick every single property that I showed you, and you loved a lot of those houses. It was so much, time and energy put into it, and money as well, because I would drive like long distances. I back then had a gas car, not electric. And so in the end, what happened, basically, they were buying that house to live there, but their dad was financing that house. So once they found the house they loved, they said, okay, this is the house we want to buy. And he's like, okay, let's buy it. I'm going to call my friend agent who never even showed that house. She just basically put it under contract and got the 2.5% commission on the $500,000.
You're eligible.
I am. And I could easily, sue that person and get the whole commission out of that. But I was just not, I don't know. I think that was kind of beginning of my career. Probably it was like the third year. I didn't feel comfortable about it. I didn't know much about it, that I probably can't sue that person. And again, I think it's like active for 2 years, so I could still sue her after some time, because I have all the proof. I showed them all these houses. I showed this house that they've got under contract. I was the one to find it, to show it. So I could get that commission from that person. I just did not do it I don't know why.
So much stress.
I don't know. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I spent all this time that I could spend with my newborn child at home, and I gave the time to you, and you did not even say, hey, I'm sorry, this is what we're doing. I did not
even
know.
Call, say, hey, Julia.
Just tell me.
I'm
just
so
tell
sorry.
me. Yeah. So I think
that's what I don't like.
What I expect from people, I don't expect you to close with me on the property at the end of the day, but I do expect you to just have that respect. Just tell me what's up. And I will be also...
Because that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I will be always respectful, you know, back to you. I'm like, oh my God, thank you for letting me know. I know they're like, we're all different people. Maybe we did not work out for each other. You know, we're not all meant to work out for each other. And that's okay. But this was not the case even in this situation. It's not we did not work out. It's just something that you did that has like, you know, no reasoning behind it. But again, that lesson taught me so much of just always putting like emotions aside. And it helped me so much to just grow up and understand, okay, this is my job. This is my business. I love what I do. And, you know, still be that good-hearted person and always, you know that what I give, I get back. And I had like way more situation good than that. So, you know, that one tough situation just taught me not to give up or become this, you know, cold-hearted, but just keep that kindness. And it's always going to come back to it. And after that, you know, I had some families that we looked for some properties that I could not find anything. And they would like send me Zelle, oh my God, thank you so much for your time that you spent on us. Here is some, you know, gift. And I'm like, oh my God, you don't have to do that. It's fine. We're not going to buy now.
Angelica, I had clients gave me Tiffany at the closing.
I had clients giving me Don Perignon champagne.
There are good people.
I still didn't drink that champagne, so waiting for a good reason. But there are. And I'm sure you were shocked. You're like, oh my God, I didn't even expect that.
Yeah, I mean, somebody just ghosted me, but you guys so nice.
That's true.
It happened. You see, like, okay.
Balance.
Yeah.
And there's still more good than bad, but I just want people to understand that there is, again, so much behind the scene, and we do work hard to earn that commission. This is not just opening the doors. And, you know, we do expect at least that respect in the end of the day. You know, if something doesn't work well, just let us know. We all grown up. We all, you know, again, not meant for each other sometimes, and that's okay. But just, you know, be honest, be open.
Because I could serve other people who will respect. So just be upfront.
You always get what you give, and just remember that in the end of the day.
Karma.
Well,
Angelica, I think it was beautiful.
It was emotional.
I think I just went to therapist.
And we're going to finish on that note. Thank you. Thank you for spending some time with us today. And again, if you like this podcast, subscribe, and maybe Julia will come.
Buy real estate and sell with us. Thank you, guys.